Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating, as dust particles danced aimlessly in the dim light. Shadows clung to the walls, where a sinister black mold stirred, pulsating gently like a creature breathing in its own dark world. Perko, a seasoned researcher, gripped his flashlight tightly, its beam slicing through the gloom as he peered into the depths of the darkness. Beside him, Rose stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest, each beat echoing her dread. Then, as if summoned by some unseen force, the mold began to shift and coalesce, forming a shape that was both grotesque and hauntingly familiar. It morphed into a human silhouette, slowly solidifying before their wide eyes. Skin took on color, eyes flickered to life, and finally a face emerged, a face that had haunted Rose's dreams since that fateful day. "Dad?" Her voice trembled, barely a whisper, as she took a step forward, hope and fear battling within her. Ethan Winters looked at her as if he were seeing her for the first time, confusion and recognition wrestling in his gaze. Without a moment's hesitation, Rose rushed into his arms, tears streaming down her face. "I thought you were dead," she cried, the warmth of his embrace melting away years of grief. But even as they held each other, a flicker of black mold crawled over Ethan's body, a reminder that he was not the same man she once knew. Perko watched, his mind reeling, a potent mix of disbelief and scientific curiosity swirling in his head. "This isn't possible," he murmured under his breath, disbelief hanging in the air like the dust around them. Ethan stepped back, his tired eyes seeking to explain a truth that had long been buried. "I didn't survive the explosion," he said, each word heavy with the burden of his reality. Silence reigned in the laboratory, the weight of his confession hanging thick. "My body died that day," he continued, glancing at his own hands as black mold slithered across his skin, an unwelcome reminder of his fate. The overhead lights flickered, casting eerie shadows as Ethan moved through the lab, touching the walls with a reverence that echoed years of solitude. "For years, I existed inside it," he revealed, the mold responding to his touch as if it held the memories of his existence. "It remembers everything. It remembers me. And it remembers you." The revelation struck like a thunderbolt. Perko interjected, bewildered. "I thought the megamycete was destroyed." Ethan nodded, his expression grave. "It was. Mother Miranda is gone. But the mold never truly died." The blackened tendrils on the wall pulsed in response to his words, a living entity that thrived in the shadows. Rose felt the ground shift beneath her as the reality of her existence sank in. "Then how is this possible?" Ethan's gaze hardened. "Because you are the last living connection to it." Perko's eyes darted between them, realization dawning. "You're saying she's keeping it alive?" With a heavy heart, Ethan confirmed. "Rose carries the mold in her blood. As long as she exists, the mold can return." Rose's breath hitched, the weight of her lineage crashing down upon her. "But why didn't it come back before?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ethan hesitated, the shadows around them deepening. "Because I stopped it," he confessed, his tone somber. Perko's brows furrowed in confusion. "You?" Ethan's form flickered, the black mold ebbing and flowing over his limbs. "For years I stayed inside the mold, holding it together, keeping it from spreading. Because if the mold returned, they would come back for you." A low rumble reverberated through the facility, the walls quaking in response as the mold began to surge, leaping to life as a predator sensing its prey. "Who?" Rose's voice shook with fear. Ethan's expression darkened. "The others, the ones who created the mold." As the laboratory lights flickered violently, the mold engulfed the space, alive and desperate. Ethan began to dissolve, his physical form wavering. "The mold? It's waking up again," he gasped, panic creeping into his voice. "Dad, what's happening to you?" Rose's grip tightened around his arm, her heart racing. The walls darkened, something lurking just beyond their view, heavy breathing echoing ominously in the silence. "If you want to protect her, you need to be ready for what's coming," Ethan warned Perko, his voice steady despite the chaos. As Rose slowly turned to face the encroaching darkness, a chill ran down her spine. Something unseen was watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. The megamycete was gone, but the mold still lived, through Rose, and as the shadows deepened, they knew this was only the beginning of a far more perilous journey to come. reflecting the eerie glow of Mia's headlights. Shadows danced along the roadside, twisting and contorting with the faintest ripple of movement, making the air thick with uncertainty. "Chris, I need help right now. I think they are coming. Rose is gone. Perko too. The mold, it's back. You have to help," she had urged, her voice thick with urgency. "They are at an abandoned facility. Someone saw them there. Ethan is alive. Ethan is alive. I have to find them." As twilight descended upon a quiet house somewhere in Europe, the soft rustle of leaves outside whispered secrets of serenity. Chris Redfield stood at the threshold of his home. He unlocked the door, the familiar creak echoing in the dimly lit entryway, and dropped his jacket in a heap. His phone buzzed, startling him from his reverie. New voicemail. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy with unspoken dread. Chris pressed play, and the room filled with static, before Mia's voice shattered the silence. Broken, panicked, distorted. "Chris, help! They, Rose, gone, Perko, mold. You have to. Abandoned facility. Ethan is alive. I have to find them." The message cut off abruptly, replaced by an ominous silence that echoed in his mind. The phrase "Ethan is alive" reverberated like a gunshot, shattering the fragile peace he had fought so hard to achieve. Chris stood frozen, the soldier within him stirring from a long slumber. Slowly he exhaled, the breath releasing the tension coiling in his chest. He moved toward an old drawer, the wood smooth beneath his fingertips, as he opened it to reveal remnants of his past. A pistol, a BSAA badge. The weight of responsibility and dread settled back onto his shoulders. "Not again," he murmured, a quiet resignation in his voice. Inside the decaying facility, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Perko, Rose, and Ethan gathered in a lab shrouded in darkness, the walls pulsing with the grotesque growth of mold. Ethan's brow furrowed as he sensed something ominous approaching. "It's getting stronger," he said softly, a hint of fear creeping into his voice. Perko, his eyes wide with confusion, asked, "What is?" "The network," Ethan replied gravely, the realization dawning on him like a storm on the horizon. The mold connected everything, every host, every memory, every creature. Rose's expression shifted as understanding washed over her. "So if it's spreading again," Ethan nodded, "it means something is feeding it." The rain began to fall as Chris drove through the forest, the rhythmic beating against the windshield, matching the pounding of his heart. He arrived at the broken facility gate, stepping out to confront the specters of his past. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. As he surveyed the building, the mold had returned, creeping like a living thing. "BSAA should have burned this place down," he muttered, loading his pistol with a steady hand. Inside the facility, Perko's instincts flared as he heard footsteps echoing off the walls. Human footsteps, not the mindless shuffle of mold. "Someone's here," he warned, raising his flashlight. Ethan's gaze sharpened, realizing the truth. Not someone. From the shadows emerged a figure, the familiar voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Everybody stay where you are." Chris stepped into the room, gun raised, his eyes locking onto Ethan's. Time seemed to freeze. Disbelief etched across his features. Chris stared at the man he once believed dead, his heart racing as memories collided with reality. "This isn't possible," he whispered, grappling with the tumult of emotions threatening to overwhelm him. Rose stepped forward, defiance in her voice. "He saved me." Chris's mind raced, trying to process the impossible reunion. Ethan's unexpected words pierced the air like a warning. "You shouldn't have come here, Chris." The ground trembled beneath their feet as the mold began to creep faster along the walls, an insidious pulse of power radiating through the facility. Ethan glanced toward the underground levels, his expression grave. "It's already too late." Chris furrowed his brow in confusion. "What are you talking about?" Ethan's gaze darkened. "The mold isn't waking up, it's evolving." Deep beneath the facility, in the primordial darkness, something enormous stirred. A new core of mold pulsed with life, its heartbeat echoing through the earth, a harbinger of chaos yet to come. The megamycete may have been destroyed, but the mold had begun to adapt, searching for a new host. And so the story continued. a haunting melody of fear, hope, and the relentless fight against the shadows of the past.